Hello everyone, welcome to SportsKhabri. Curious Harry and arunfoot had a little bit of a stumbling start there. But anyways, yeah,
Let's hope so.
that's
Tomorrow for
that.
India, that's not the start.
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
Okay. The review
Yeah.
is done. We can end the show, right?
If we not preview, prediction, everything is been done.
Done. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, some starting troubles, but it is India versus Kuwait. Very important game for India. Last game for Sunil Chetri, but um, the Indian captain is clearly stressed on the fact that it's a very important game for the nation. Um, Putting everything aside, what it is personally for him. Anwa, before we talk about Sunil Chetri, his last game, how important of a game is it for India?
It is one of the most important games that India has played quite a while because it could be, making history. Um, I think there's one thing I think I need to correct people of that they're saying, listen, this is the first time that India really can go to the third round of the World Cup qualifiers. That's not true. They could have gone to the third round for the 2002 World Cup qualifiers, where India had beaten the UAE, beaten twice Brunei, but drew twice Yemen, and therefore the UAE with 12 points was able to go through. So therefore, it is his potentially historic moment. But again, I always say it is interlinked, interlinked to the future of Igor Stimac. I think we'll discuss it also. So therefore, there are positives and negatives. It's like a SWOT analysis. What's better for Indian football really in regard to the long term.
बट आई थिंक सर आपने जैसे बोला कि 2002 में भी हम इस काफी नजदीक आ चुके थे फॉर अ क्वालिफिकेशन 2019 में भी आई थिंक हमारे पास चांस था जब वो हमने कतार के सामने ड्रॉ किया उसके बाद हमने अफगानिस्तान एंड आई थिंक बांग्लादेश वाला जो मैच था वो दोनों ड्रॉ कर दिया अदरवाइज हम यहाँ पे 2019 में भी मतलब टक्कर दे सकते थे फॉर टू क्वालिफाई फॉर राउंड 3.
I don't think so because we lost the first game against Oman. If we had won the first game against Oman at home, that we lost 1-2 in Guwahati. We were leading for a long time for 1-0. If we had won that, then the match could have been different. But the problem was that we lost that first game, and that draw against Qatar is a nice bonus point. But it was then clear after drawing Afghanistan away, Bangladesh at home, it was all over.
Yep. Arnava, you mentioned that it's a game you just don't know how to see it. On one side, you've got Igor Stimac. Potentially, he could stay for longer if we end up in round 3, and then, of course, it is Sunil Chetri's last game. Hiren, which way are you leaning? What do you want from this game?
I think इस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से आप देखें तो डेफिनेटली इट्स अ स्पेशल मैच बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली सुनील छेत्री's लास्ट मैच तो जिस तरह से आप देखिए प्लेयर ने भी रिसेंटली इंटरव्यू दिए है फॉर एवरीवन दैट इज अ स्पेशल मैच एंड दे वांट टू गिव अ विनिंग ट्रिब्यूट टू इंडियाज यू कैन से लेजेंडरी प्लेयर एंड राउंड 3 जैसे ऑन दी वर्ज है यहाँ पे आपके लिए वो भी स्टेक पे है जो कि ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है वो सुनील छेत्री ने भी आज प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में सारी चीजें बोली एंड I think Igor Stimac के perspective से भी उन्होंने भी बोला कि this is his career's biggest game. I think everything is on this track to be honest in this game. And कोलकाता में मैच है क्राउड is going to be crazy. हमने देखा प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में आप देखिए कितने लोग आए थे जनरली आपको नहीं तो देखने को नहीं मिलता कि भाई फुटबॉल की प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में इंडियन टीम की इतने यहाँ पे जर्नलिस्ट आते हैं बट दैट इज द क्रेज एट द मोमेंट एंड एवरीथिंग इज लुकिंग गुड आई वुड से प्रिपरेशन वाइज पे आई डोंट थिंक सो कि आप कभी यहाँ पे कोई फॉल्ट दिखा सकते हैं कि आपको प्रिपरेशन टाइम नहीं मिला है कुछ नहीं मिला है मोस्ट ऑफ द प्लेयर्स आर कमिंग अप विद अ गुड आईएसएल फॉर्म सो I think it is going to be really exciting match and particularly happening at the Kolkata so I think result तो देखिए let's see यहाँ पे क्या आता है but I think it is going to be a special match.
Yep, for sure. Anava, from a game perspective, we're of course we're going to build the lineup because we've got the game tomorrow, and there are a few things that can be discussed. Pretty straightforward in goal for you, Gurpreet, or is there a conversation to be had otherwise?
I know that there are certain people who want to try out Vishal Cage, but I think tomorrow is not a trial and error day. I think people need to realize that people who have not, if I see some of the people what they're wanting to do, they would be having two or three people who are irregulars. Two, three people might be even debutants. Tomorrow is not a match for debutants. Tomorrow we need experience. And that is something. Sorry to say, but a lot of people, it's a huge step up to say, if let's say Edmund's name is being put in there, or Amai's name is put in there in the mix. Even Jay Gupta, some people are saying this is a different level. This is something that these boys are not used to. So therefore, that is something which needs to be understood. And from that perspective, I don't see any other option than Gurpreet Singh Sandhu. Vishal Keth has played nothing under Steamach in the recent months. Amrinder played against Kuwait, didn't convince me in that game at home in Bhubaneswar. So therefore, at the end of the day, it's Gurpreet Singh Sandhu in goal.
I think
Yeah,
प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में भी ईगो स्टिमेश ने कंफर्म कर दिया है कि हिज नंबर वन चॉइस फॉर द गोलकीपर इज गुरप्रीत सिंह संधू एंड वहां पे भी सेम चीज उन्होंने बोली कि एक्सपीरियंस मैटर्स इन दिस काइंड ऑफ मैचेस एंड आई थिंक दैट्स व्हाई इट्स आई वुड से कि वो सेफ टू से कि वो आई थिंक ही विल गो फॉर गुरप्रीत सिंह संधू. उन्होंने एक चीज और उसमें एड अप की कि चाहे भले उसका आईएसएल फॉर्म कैसा भी रहा हो इन दिस काइंड ऑफ मैचेस एक्सपीरियंस मैटर. सो आई थिंक गुरप्रीत सिंह संधू विल बी ऑन द गोल लाइन.
Yep. Pretty
And
straightforward.
I don't,
I think
and I don't agree with a lot of things that Steamach says, but on this one, I have to agree with him. I think at international level, experience does count. You can't, that is a level up from what you normally played. And for that, and again, this whole Edmund hype that has been created, give the boy a break. I mean, he's played I-League. He didn't even play an ISL. He's not played an ISL game. He is talented. He was very good. I remember 4 or 5 years back when he was on loan at East Bengal at the time in the I-League, and played a derby and broke his leg and all that stuff. So therefore, this is not a match to experiment. We've got enough players, especially in the wide positions, who would get an opportunity.
Yep. Hiren, that's what I think. Pretty straightforward. I think all of us unanimously go with Gurpreet. Coach also is going to go with him. The back four is where it's interesting. What's your back four, Hiren?
I think back four is also very straightforward. If you see Igor
Okay.
Simić's last 1.5 years back line, I think he didn't experiment in back line, to be honest. या तो इंजरी के चलते उन्होंने किया है, जब अनवर अली इंजर्ड था तब उन्होंने प्लेयर को ट्राई आउट किया है, या फिर संदेश सिंह का. उसके अलावा हमने ये नहीं देखा है कि वहां पे उन्होंने कोई रोटेशन करने की कोशिश की है. जब वो किंग्स कप मेटेका कप जो भी आपने खेला, he goes with the, you can say, his first choice backline, and that was the आकाश मिश्रा, निखिल पुजारी एंड अनवर अली एंड संदेश सिंह थे. अब क्योंकि आकाश मिश्रा इंजर्ड है तो स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड वहां पे आपका सुभाष बोध आ जाता है, एंड ही हैज अ वेरी गुड आईएसएल सीजन विद मोहन बगान. एक्सपीरियंस भी है बंदे के पास. सो इन दिस काइंड ऑफ मैच डेफिनेटली ही विल बी एट द लेफ्ट बैक. राइट बैक पे भी आई थिंक निखिल पुजारी, हम सबको पता है कि काफी ज्यादा ट्रस्ट इगो स्टिमेश ने उनके ऊपर दिखाया है, डिस्पाइट हिज फॉर्म. क्लब लेवल पे भी थोड़ा सा फॉर्म डिप आया इस बार यहाँ पे बीएफसी के लिए, एंड नेशनल टीम पे भी उन्होंने कुछ इंडिविजुअल मिस्टेक भी की है, बट आई थिंक फिर भी उनके ऊपर ट्रस्ट दिखाया गया है. सो आई थिंक ही विल कंटिन्यू एज अ राइट बैक. एंड सेंटर बैक पे आपके पास ज्यादा उस वे में देखे तो ऑप्शन भी नहीं है. आई थिंक ही विल गो विथ राहुल बेके एंड अनवर अली एज ए सेंटर बैक पेयर ऑप्शन. मेहताब नो डाउट लास्ट कुछ मैचेस में मोबिलिटी के लिए अच्छा किया, बट आई थिंक ही विल बी एज अ बैकअप. एंड लालचुंग नोना भी मेरे को लगता है कि सीजन की शुरुआत उन्होंने अच्छी की थी. लालचुंग नोना ने ईस्ट बंगाल के लिए फर्स्ट हाफ ऑफ द सीजन में ही वाज ब्रिलियंट. सेकंड हाफ ऑफ द सीजन में मेरे को लगा कि थोड़ा सा उनका भी फॉर्म है वो थोड़ा सा डिप हुआ है, बट आई थिंक ही कैन बी अ वेरी गुड ऑप्शन एज अ बैकअप. सो आई थिंक फर्स्ट चॉइस विल बी अनवर अली एंड राहुल बेके एज अ सेंटर बैक.
Yeah, the reason I said probably a little more interesting is because I know you think Nikhil Pujari walks into this team and Subhashish Bose likewise. You think both of them are sure shot starters?
I mean, Hiren has just said it, and again, he would like to, in an ideal case scenario, most probably play with Anwar and with Sandesh at the back. Nikhil Pujari has been his number one right back for a while. It has been between Shubhashish and between Akash. Akash is now injured. Sandesh is injured. So therefore, and I think Rahul Beke has been one of our best defensive players over the last 12 months. And therefore, for me, there's no choice. Again, this is not a game for Amar Ranawade to make his India debut. I think this is win or die, and therefore, I think form is very, very important on one side, but also international experience, and therefore that is something that coaches around the world do, and I think Steamach will also do that.
Okay, fair enough. Then the back line, I think I completely agree with you guys. I don't think it's going to look any different. Subhashish Bose, Nikhil Pujari on either side at fullback, and the central defenders, of course, going to be Anwar Ali and Rahul Beke. Midfield, guys, Hiren, first come to you. What does your midfield three look like?
I think that is where I think interesting decision will be made by the post match, because I think option ज़्यादा नहीं है आपका, particularly अगर आप holding midfielder देखें, you only have three choices: Suresh, Thapa and Jigson. And Jigson का form concern है, he is coming back from a long injury. Thapa ने कुछ matches last में अच्छे किए, and Suresh is I think he has also decent season as at PMC. So वहाँ पे combination कौन सा बिठाते? I think it will be decision according to the what's your approach in the first half. क्योंकि मिडफील्ड में आई थिंक मेरे को लगता है कि जिस तरह से आज सामने कुवैत की टीम है, फिजिकलिटी भी उनके पास है, दे हैव सम कपल ऑफ अगर हाइट एडवांटेज में भी देखे तो हमसे वो बेटर है. सो आई थिंक आपको मिडफील्ड में वो एरियल ड्यूल्स विन करने वाले प्लेयर चाहिए होंगे, एंड थोड़ा सा डोमिनेशन आपको दिखाना पड़ेगा. तो मे बी थापा की जगह पे मे बी सुरेश वो स्टार्ट करे, बट थापा हमने देखा है कि आफ्टर सुनील छेत्री मेरे को लगता है कि इकोस टीम में सबसे ज्यादा किसी प्लेयर को अगर यूज किया है, थापा को उनके 5 साल के इस अगर आप देखें कि टेन्योर में किया है. सो I'm seeing a Thapa and Jigson as a combination, and attacking midfielder I think Sahal Abdul Samad will start, because recently उन्होंने इंटरव्यू में भी बोला था, तो I think this will be our midfield combination.
Okay, Anwar and Suresh, you think will be left out?
I think he'll start with Suresh, Jigson and Sahal.
Okay.
That was also interesting.
I think Thapa has not had the trust of the coach in the last few matches. Initially had it, but I think he somewhat lost it. So I think, and he will use, and if Jigson has been available, he has used Jigson.
Yep, 100%.
So that would be the one. And again, it's Sahal and Brandon. I would prefer Brandon, to be honest. But again, I think the coach will use Sahal Abdul Samad.
No, I think there's a conversation to be had there, Hiren, with regards to Sahal, because he hasn't played enough, of course, football in the ISL of late. Was injured. You think he walks in to this team now?
आई थिंक ये डेफिनेटली एक कंसर्न है, इसीलिए मैंने जिक्सन के बारे में भी सेम चीज बोली, बट वहां पे आपके पास ऑप्शन नहीं है सच. आई डोंट थिंक कि यू विल गो विद थापा एंड सुरेश एज ए सेंटर बैक पेयर, बिकॉज सामने फिजिकलिटी है तो थोड़ा सा आपको और ज्यादा वो उस तरह का प्लेयर चाहिए होगा. बट आई थिंक सहल के साथ भी ये इशू हो सकता है. डेफिनेटली वो यहाँ पे लास्ट एक आध दो मैच यहाँ पे मोहन बगान के लिए खेला, उसने गोल भी मारा, सारी चीज की, बट ही इज ऑल्सो कमिंग फ्रॉम ए लॉन्ग इंजरी. सो डेफिनेटली आई थिंक ब्रेंडन, जैसे सर ने बोला कि कंपैरेटिवली अगर फॉर्म वाइज एंड वो देखें तो इज इन अ मच बेटर फॉर्म. सो वो भी चॉइस हो सकते हैं, बट हमने देखा है कि ब्रेंडन के ऊपर मैंने मतलब अभी रिसेंटली अगर आप मैचेस भी देखे तो इतना ट्रस्ट नहीं दिखाया इगोस टीम्स ने जितना मतलब आप एक्सपेक्ट करते हो, जबकि उन्होंने अच्छा किया है. जब भी उनको चांस मिला है इस एशियन कप में, मेरे को याद आता है जब उनको एज ए सब्स्टिट्यूशन लाया गया था, आई डोंट रिमेंबर अगेंस्ट उज्बेकिस्तान और ऑस्ट्रेलिया, तो भी वो खेले ही उनका जो प्ले मेकर के तौर पे जो रोल है वो काफी इफेक्टिव मेरे को दिखा है. सहल अब्दुल समद, नो डाउट ही इज अ पोटेंशियल, स्किल सेट, एवरीथिंग, बट कभी कभी वो मतलब आप हमको लगता है कि वो ओवरडू ज्यादा कर देते हैं. आई थिंक एंड डिसीजन मेकिंग मेरे को लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ा सा सहल का वो दिखता है, जिसकी वजह से काफी बार इंडिया को चांसेस भी वो उस तरह से गंवाने पड़े. बट आई थिंक ईगो में ज्यादा मेरे को लगता है कि सहल को ट्रस्ट करते हैं. Form definitely is a concern for him कि यहाँ पे इंजरी के बाद आ रहे हैं. So let's see.
Arwa, and again coming to you about the base of the midfield, any reason for picking Suresh over Thapa?
I think he will need a snatcher, and from that side, I think Suresh is better than Thapa.
Yeah. Actually, to be fair to Suresh, again, I just want to say that he's had a good club season. Although he's had the red cards, but whenever he's played well. I think he's been one of the standouts for BFC as well. I think he's matured a little more in an attacking sense as well. So if it comes to that, hopefully he can deliver. But yeah, let's see what happens. The front three, guys. I don't know the front three. What does it look like? We know Sunil Chhetri is going to start down the middle. Let's not even get there. We'll have a different discussion with regards to Chhetri. But the two white players.
Changte and Manvir.
Okay, Manvir on the right, or no?
You can actually play around with this. Manvir has also played some good matches for Mohun Bagan on the left. So I would rather play Manvir on the left and Changte on the right.
Okay.
So I have two inverted players, so to say, who can, come in, cut in, and do something about it. And that might be an option to play with.
Right. Hiren, your preferred white players and how would you like them to set up?
आई थिंक वहाँ पे काफी सारे आपके पास ऑप्शन है, अच्छे अच्छे प्लेयर है जिन्होंने मतलब खेला भी है। तो आई थिंक अभी जो मतलब काफी लोग बोल रहे थे कि एडमंड को स्टार्ट मिल रहा है, रिपोर्ट्स में काफी सारे लोग बोल रहे हैं कि लिस्टन कोलासो भी स्टार्ट कर सकता है। बट आई थिंक ईगोस्ट मैच की जो हमने देखा है अभी तक, आई थिंक ये माइट गो विद चांगते एंड मनवीर एज यूजुअल। आई डोंट थिंक सो कि नोरम मैच का भी कोई यहाँ पे चांस बनेगा। आई पर्सनली वांट टू सी, बट आई डोंट थिंक सो कि उनको भी चांस मिलेगा। तो आई थिंक हमने कतार एंड कुवैत के सामने जब लास्ट टाइम हम वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफायर्स मैचेस खेले नवंबर में, तब भी उन्होंने एक रीजन ये दिया था कि व्हाई मनवीर इज स्टार्टिंग इन फ्रंट थ्री, बिकॉज ही वांट्स टू हैव अ वन यू कैन से कि हाइट एडवांटेज प्लेयर इन फॉरवर्ड लाइन दैट आल्सो हेल्प इन दी सेट पीसेस। सो इन दैट आई थिंक वो अगर माइंडसेट के साथ वो जा रहे हैं, देन आई थिंक मनवीर डेफिनेटली 100% स्टार्ट। एंड चाहते आई डोंट थिंक सो कि एनी रीजन यू कैन ड्रॉप योर one of the best player, I would say, most important player. So I think that will be our front.
Yeah, I think we've kind of agreed pretty much on the 11. Gurpreet in goal, at left back Subhashish, right back Nikhil Pujari. The two centre halves are Anwar Ali and Rahul Beke. I think the only point of discussion we've had has been the base of the midfield. Arnav has gone for Suresh and Jeekson, and Hiren's gone for Thapa instead of Suresh. Sahal as the attacking midfielder. Arnav, you said you'd like to see Brandon there instead, right?
But
Yeah.
it's not going to happen. So
Yeah. And the front three is the same for everyone.
कोई
Yeah.
बोल रहा था कि इगोर इज नॉट हैप्पी विद द एएफएफ, तो हैप्पी कब थे वो ही इज ऑलवेज इन द यू कैन से कि दैट काइंड ऑफ मोड। मैंने तो कभी नहीं सुना
he
कि
should be happy that the AFF has not fired him for years. So therefore, I think there's no reason for him to be unhappy with the federation. I think the federation given the circumstances, I think the AFF has tried to do their best. I mean, now they also have this situation that Anil Kamath, who was, of course, assistant secretary and head of operations, died yesterday. So therefore, operation-wise for the AFF, this is stretching it a lot. So these are realities. If I like it or not, these are not easy and these are not good times for the federation.
Yeah.
सर ये इसके रिगार्डिंग कोई न्यूज़ है कि किस तरह की प्रिपरेशन की गई है फॉर दिस फेयरवेल मैच?
See, what they've tried to do is, they will do some felicitation of Sunil and all that stuff. And I know that you've seen the Blue Pilgrims are planning something. I think generally the fans are planning certain things for the game tomorrow. So it's going to be a full house, and it's hopefully it's going to be a suitable occasion. And to me is give him a fitting farewell, and then let's see what happens. Again, I am conflicted because I want Sunil to end on a good note. I want India to win, but on the other side, the implication would be another 2 years T-match. So for me, that is something which is to me which is a no-go.
Well, let us just discuss Sunil Chhetri. He spoke about the atmosphere that is already has been created after he announced that he'd be retiring from international football, and he said that it would be so much more if India played, for example, a Japan or an Australia in round 3. Do you think there's not a part of him which is just, oh, you know what, if we actually do go to round 3, let me just continue? Do you think there's a side that's thinking that, or he's mentally done and he's shut, and he will stick to his word?
I think if Sunil was in a form that he was about 12 months ago, I would have said, maybe he would have said, you know what, let me continue and at least let me play a few of these third round qualifiers. I think that the last season for club and country was rather poor, for him, for his standards. Sunil has, set a very, very high benchmark for himself. And I think this is let's say, a suitable end to a career. And again, one can ask the question, why didn't he end it against Qatar in Qatar? That would be something. So for me, it's something that it would have also its sort of own charm. But I think playing at home at the Salt Lake Stadium, more than 60,000 fans. Sunil has a very, very special relationship with Kolkata. That's where his pro career started. It's where he met his wife. So last year he won the SAF Cup in Bangalore, which is another home city for him. But Kolkata is also home for him.
Yeah. Fair enough. Hiren, is there a lot of buzz around, at least in Gujarat, with regards to Sunil Chetty's retirement?
नहीं
And there
नहीं
is, I'm actually not even joking. There are people discussing India, Kuwait a lot more than they are the T20 World Cup. India playing Ireland today, but the discussion is around Sunil Chetty. A lot of people are really sort of looking forward to it.
yesterday me and Akshata during the watch along उसी के बात कर रहे थे कि T20 वर्ल्ड कप चालू भी हो गया और आधे लोग ज्यादा लोगों को पता भी नहीं है कि आज पता चलेगा मोस्ट ऑफ दी पीपल कि हाँ भाई T20 वर्ल्ड कप स्टार्ट हो गया बट दैट्स पुट अप असाइड आई थिंक सुनील छेत्री रिगार्डिंग यहाँ पे गुजरात में तो इतना कोई ज्यादा बस नहीं है टू बी ऑनेस्ट एंड थोड़ा सा मेरे को लगता है कि इसको और ज्यादा मतलब मार्केटिंग वाइज हो सकता था आई थिंक अगर एक थोड़ा सा कैंपेन उस तरह का रन होता फ्रॉम दी मार्केटिंग पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू देन आई थिंक ये हो सकता था जर्सी भी हमने आज ही में बात कर रहे थे जर्सी भी आपने लॉन्च कर दी बट अभी तक अवेलेबल नहीं हुई है सो उस सारी चीजों में थोड़ा सा एफर्ट डाल सकते थे आप मतलब तो आई थिंक थोड़ा सा और ज्यादा हाइप बनता बट ऑब्वियसली कोलकाता में तो आई थिंक देयर विल बी ह्यूज बज आई वुड डेफिनेटली उसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है वो आज प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस से पता चल गया आप देखिए इतने सारे लोग नहीं तो आई डोंट थिंक सो कि इंडिया की फुटबॉल की मैच में कोलकाता में भी हो रहा है तब भी आई डोंट थिंक सो कि इतने ज्यादा लोग आएंगे आई थिंक देयर वाज फुल हाउस तो दैट्स ग्रेट टू सी एंड सुनील छेत्री आई थिंक आप पूछ रहे थे अरुण सर ने भी बताया कि एक साल पहले अगर आप पूछते तो कंटिन्यू कर लेते बट मेरे को लगता है कि दिस इज द राइट टाइम टू बी ऑनेस्ट आई थिंक योर राउंड 2 इज एंडिंग whatever not आप क्वालिफाई करो ना करो दूसरी बात है बट आई थिंक दिस इज द परफेक्ट टाइम टू यू कैन से कि से गुड बाय या तो आप एशियन कप के टाइम पे बोल देते या दिस इज द टाइम आई थिंक मेरे को लगता है कि द राइट टाइम टू से गुड बाय एंड कहीं ना कहीं बंदे को भी मतलब आ जाता है एक बार अंदर से आपको आ गई फीलिंग फिर आई डोंट थिंक सो कि वो आपका अंदर वो मोटिवेशन रहता है कि भाई मैं फिर से वो कंटिन्यू करूं एंड पर्टिकुलरली आफ्टर ही बिकमिंग अ फादर आई थिंक डेफिनेटली ही आल्सो एक्सपीरियंस सम ऑफ द दैट काइंड ऑफ इमोशन आल्सो सो आई थिंक वो भी बंदे को थोड़ा सा दूसरे पर्सपेक्टिव के बारे में अदर देन फुटबॉल आई थिंक सोचने पे मजबूर करता है तो आई थिंक दिस आर दी ऑल दी पॉइंट्स की जो उनको ये डिसीजन लेने पे आई थिंक फाइनल आया होगा कि भाई नाउ आई नीड टू स्टॉप सो आई थिंक सर ने जैसे बोला कि कोलकाता में खेल रहे तो आई थिंक इससे बेटर वेन्यू भी नहीं हो सकता था आपका लास्ट मैच के लिए एंड आई थिंक देखते हैं अब लेट होप सो कि पॉजिटिव वे में फेयरवेल मिले उनको दैट इज ही डिजर्व इट एंड काफी सारे प्लेयरों ने भी हमने देखा है रिसेंटली इंटरव्यू में बोला है कि वी वांट टू गिव अ विनिंग फेयरवेल सो आई थिंक हाइप तो होगी डेफिनेटली एंड लेट्स सी
Anuma, how's the response been, at least in the Indian community in Germany? Because, again, like I said, I think here it has been pretty positive. A lot of people actually have spoken about it. How has it been there?
See, the point is that people know that, of course, I'm involved in Indian football, so of course these topics come up, and a lot of people knew that Sunil is sort of ending his career tomorrow. But again, the focus has been on what happened yesterday in the elections. So I think that was the main thing, I think, for a lot of people. And from that perspective, that was there. And again, the matches in Kolkata, yeah, maybe you're not feeling it on social media, but if you see the whole situation regarding tickets, I don't know how many tickets I would have given to people who've been requesting for tickets. If you see the media, I think that's the normal thing that happens in Kolkata around, international games. So that hype has been there around the national team for quite a while. But again, is that translated into sort of social media and other areas and other spaces? No, I think the AFF has other issues and other problems, and therefore these are the realities of where the federation is, and I can only repeat that. And it's
I don't think so कि I don't think so कि फेडरेशन को इसमें इतना कोई एफर्ट मतलब डालने की जरूरत है दे कैन क्रिएट अ बज अराउंड सोशल मीडिया ये हो सकता था बट आई अनफॉर्चुनेटली आई थिंक
but you don't have a big enough media team. I mean, that's the that's
बट जो भी है वो भी कंपेटेबल मेरे को तो नहीं दिखती आई थिंक द वे दे आर वर्किंग इन लास्ट 1.5 ईयर जो मैंने देखा है सोशल मीडिया पे तो जिस तरह से उनका काम है आई डोंट थिंक सो कि जितने भी लोग हैं एक बंदा भी है अगर तो फिर इससे बेटर तो वर्क हो सकता है मेरे हिसाब से।
I would disagree. I would disagree because knowing how a federation has to operate, and I think on this front, I think I know a little bit more than most of you are watching or listening. It's not as easy, Hiren, to be very, very honest. I think for a federation to do that, and then again, normally this is something, if you want to do it properly, you would have to have an agency behind to do it. It's not a federation internally which can do it. With the team they have, normally they have rather people who are writers, who are writers, and they're not social media experts. I mean, you are a bigger social media expert than the people in the AFF. That's a fact, right? So therefore, those people with what they're doing, theek hai chalo, and that's the thing. You've seen now that even the stuff regarding videos and other things is much, much less. You knew how Nilanjan was running the AFF media department before that. The AFF is alive. That's the problem, right? It is alive, nothing more, nothing less. So that's a reality check, and that's it.
No, but again, in their defense, I think the Bengaluru FC media team has done a wonderful job. I think every day there is at least one or two stories around Sunil Chhetri, around his last game. And yeah, there's a constant reminder that, okay, guys, you know what? This is coming up. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. It's been going on for the last 15, 20 days and it hasn't stopped. So I think, in fairness to them, it's happening.
Rahul, I think BFC, with the way that Kunal has set this whole thing up in 2013 and the way that BFC's media team has worked, they have been doing a very, very good job for the last 11 years. And you look at what the narrative was throughout the season. It's a different thing, and they've got the right people in the right positions. The AFF don't have the people, don't have the manpower, and don't have the expertise in house, and don't have the money to say, listen, can I engage an agency for, let's say, just for 4 weeks? I say, or even 2 weeks. I get an external agency. You create the creatives, you create this, you create that. It doesn't happen. So therefore,
2 वीक भी नहीं, एक स्पेशल, अगर आप सिर्फ इसी मैच के लिए और सुनील छेत्री के फेयरवेल के रिगार्डिंग भी एक कैंपेन अगर किसी आप आउटसाइड एजेंसी से तैयार करवा सकते थे।
But that is the problem, no? That's the reality. That therefore, I mean, on the other side, BFC has not been having an active website for I think for 6-7 months, right? That's the other thing. So these are the shortcomings of the system in Indian football, and it's not easy, and it's very, very complex, I feel. And again, the timing per se is a little dicey because, again, you had the Lok Sabha results coming out yesterday. You have the T20 World Cup, which has started also. So the focus is not on football. But I still think that when Sunil came out with that video, I mean, that video was made with the help of Kunal at BFC, right? That was not made with the AFF. It was made with the BFC guys. It had a huge impact. That video, that story was covered by even mainstream news media during an election. So I would say that it got its mileage, it's got its traction. But I think also what we should not forget is that India's performances in the Asian Cup and then the losses to Afghanistan, it's not like last year in July when Rahul, you and I were talking, there wasn't a hype around the team. I think that's the other problem. People are fed up with the federation, they're fed up with Steamach. It's not easy. So therefore, from that perspective, I feel it's rather a negative. I mean, it's a negative cycle, and the bigger negative is, bhai, Sunil ka last match hai. This is the last game of Sunil Chhetri for the national team. We don't have a future striker at the moment.
But sir, what do you get back into the match? What do you make of Igor Stimač's press conference?
It's a typical Igor Stimač. It's already trying to ensure and say, guys, we could lose, and if we lose, then things were not right, and that's why, again, deflecting blame. Na? Very simple.
But उन्होंने तो बोला था कि अगर मैं राउंड 3 में क्वालीफाई नहीं करवाऊंगा, I will leave.
His contract ends theoretically after the Qatar game. If he doesn't qualify for round 3, there's no extension. So in theory, tomorrow India lose to Kuwait, lose to Qatar, tata bye bye. Very simple.
What about the Kuwait? Because मैं उनकी स्क्वाड का एनालिसिस कर रहा था. उनके काफी सारे प्लेयर ऐसे हैं कि जो इस सीजन एएफसी कप में भी खेले हैं एंड कॉम्पिटिटिव फुटबॉल खेले, मतलब एशिया लेवल पे अच्छा करके आ रहे हैं. एंड लास्ट टाइम जो कुवैत के सामने हम अवे में खेले थे और 1-0 से जीते थे, उसमें 2-3 उनके क्रूशियल प्लेयर मिसिंग भी थे. उनको यहाँ पे वापसी हुई है. स्ट्राइकर पे आप देखें तो नासिर है, उनका ऐसा कुछ नाम है, तो वो सब वापसी की है. सो हाउ डू यू सी कुवैत प्रिपरेशन?
See, the little that I've seen or read about Kuwait is very, very clear to me. I felt Kuwait was better playing in India, in Bangalore during the SAF Cup than they played at home when they hosted India in the World Cup qualifier. So therefore, I think that this is going to be a tough opponent. I felt in Bangalore that they were as good as India, or even Steema just said, right? He felt that the best game against Kuwait was in Kuwait. And I felt the final, if Kuwait is a little bit more clinical, they would have most probably won the game. So therefore, from that perspective, we are in a situation that we will face an opponent. The atmosphere is going to be positive, around Sunil. But if things don't work out, that crowd can also switch in regard to atmosphere in 20, 30 minutes. So that is a danger also, which is there, that positive vibe, because there is, if this was not Sunil's final game, the fans would have gone in with a negative mindset. So that is one danger that I see for India. If Kuwait do play the way they can play, they combine a lot. They're good on on the passing game, play around the box. I think for India, the most important thing is that your defense and your defensive midfield, that is a tough block. I think that's the first thing that India needs to create, which we weren't able to create in the last 5 matches, be it in the Asian Cup or be it twice against Afghanistan. And then we need to try and build, for me is that we need to score goals from open play. I mean, the last one was actually Manvir's goal set up by Chanke. Yeah, against Kuwait, in Kuwait. That was November last year. So we've not scored a goal from open play for nearly 8 months. Right? The other goal was Sunil's penalty against Afghanistan. So these are these are the realities. And Deepak, I don't agree fans will relentlessly support India no matter what. That will not happen in Kolkata at the Solvik Stadium. I've been too many times at that stadium, and you know how the mood can swing very, very quickly. Be it on a derby, be it when the East Bengal, Mohun Bagan or Mohammedan have played at that stadium. So Kolkata fans are a little different on that front. Even again, it is about Sunil, but if the team does not play well and it plays, the way they played against Afghanistan, it could be a tough evening at the time when they walk off.
Exactly, sir. मेरा ये मेरा सेकंड क्वेश्चन वही है कि जिस तरह से हमने अफगानिस्तान के सामने परफॉर्मेंस दी एंड नाउ एवरीथिंग, मतलब जिस तरह से हाइप तो बन चुका है ड्यू टू दी सुनील छेत्री's लास्ट मैच एंड एवरीथिंग, बट अभी भी एक कॉन्फिडेंस आई थिंक मेरे को तो नहीं आ रहा है, एटलीस्ट काफी सारे फैंस को भी नहीं आ रहा होगा जिस तरह से हमने, क्योंकि प्लेयर तो ये सेम ही है, इसमें से 2-3 प्लेयर आपकी इंजर्ड हुए, 2-3 उसकी जगह पे यहाँ पे रिप्लेस कर देंगे, बट मोर ऑफ अ सेम ही स्क्वाड है, आपकी सेम ही प्लेयर है. तो डू यू एक्सपेक्ट कि अब यहाँ पे प्रिपरेशन भी मिल चुके, नाउ दे आर गोइंग टू एग्जीक्यूट जो भी उनका गेम प्लान है व्हाटएवर, बिकॉज अफगानिस्तान के सामने तो मेरे को हमारी जो टीम थी वो कंप्लीटली क्लूलेस दिख रही थी. तो डू यू नाउ एग्री कि अब थोड़ा सा आपको कॉन्फिडेंस आ गया कि नहीं भाई इस मैच में हम बेटर यहाँ पे एग्जीक्यूशन कर पाएंगे एंड चैलेंज दे पाएंगे, सीइंग द आल्सो द सिचुएशन ऑफ द यू कैन से कि ड्रेसिंग रूम?
I think that is the first question. Again, 4 weeks, 5 weeks of camp is nice to have, but my question is, have we improved in any way? And to me is very clear that the team, as you said, has looked clueless against Afghanistan, and Kuwait is a better team than Afghanistan. So I am sure that Kuwait is prepared in a way to try and hit India on its weaknesses, which is India's structure, India's and to me is our difficulty to try and build up from the back, right? You try to get the ball wide and then hope, either Subhashish or Nikhil will run with the ball, get it to their wingers, and the wingers will get to it, or in the middle they will get to it, and somehow you can score. So the question is, that's an interesting thing to see. Will India try and take charge of the game, or will they play like they played in the Asian Cup and allow Kuwait more of the ball?
Yeah,
so I think for me that's a thing which is very, very important to remember.
I think first half में हमारा अप्रोच आई थिंक विल बी रियली रियली क्रूशियल, क्योंकि आपके लिए तो ये मस्ट विन गेम है, 3 पॉइंट आपके लिए है. कुवैत अगर यहाँ पे ड्रॉ भी करता है तब भी उनके लिए फिर चांस रहेगा अगर वो नेक्स्ट मैच में अफगानिस्तान को हराता है, बट आपके लिए तो ये मस्ट विन गेम ही है. एंड आपको लगता है कि फर्स्ट हाफ में हमें स्ट्रेट अवे यहाँ पे अटैकिंग जाना चाहिए, बिकॉज अगर वहां पे काउंटर पे कहीं ना कहीं हमने गोल कंसीड कर दिया, देन इट विल बी, जैसे आपने बोला कि फिर आपके लिए अपहिल टास्क हो जाएगा, एंड इट विल बी रियली रियली डिफिकल्ट.
I think for us, we need to, if we, again, but against Afghanistan, we scored a goal and we looked worse after we scored the goal than we looked before scoring the goal. So I'm not, again, with this team.
बोले
Sorry, I'm very confused. I'm very confused with this team, right? Because I don't see a structure. I don't, and to me this is something which is very, very dicey, very, very tricky in regard to what do we want out of the team. What because these players in the last few matches have played worse than what they played weeks before and after in the Indian Super League. So that's the thing. And this whole, Kumar asked radical changes in starting in what radical changes in defense? I mean, you tell me players, and all of you just think we are playing a very, very important match at international level, and you want players who are totally unproven at international level to represent India? And it doesn't matter if it's Igor Stimac or XYZ coach. No coach will do that. He will only do it if he's forced to do it. So, that is something which he has to say. I mean, Ayush says goal against Iraq by Mahesh, but that was in September. I am talking since November, and the point is also this people going after Apuya because he's going after his exams. This is done by players around the world. I know of enough players, not going to mention names, who have missed matches for club and country because they had their exams for their respective studies. So therefore, anyway.
Kolkata to Zagreb flight price on the 7th June is 2.2 lakhs.
But that is business class, na? Put it on eco, na?
Economy. एंड डायरेक्ट फ्लाइट क्यों भेजना है उनको? उसको भेजो ये इधर से उधर करके.
डायरेक्ट तो नहीं होगा ना, you have to go via ना, so that is the other thing, but that's a different question. That's aviation matters.
But that is also important question because this is not the only Sunil Chhetri's last match. Igor Stimac's future is also kind of rely on these two matches.
I have said what I hope. I honestly think it has been enough time, 5 years with this gentleman as our national team coach. I think we need to have a restart from September onwards. I would have even had a restart after March, but they have even after January. But the federation has not taken this decision for quite a while, and I hope that decision is now taken, and then a new national team coach is implemented and installed, and then we move forward.
बट एक टाइम भी अब तो मिल रहा है सर आपको. अगर आप अभी चेक करोगे तो सितंबर में आपको बीच में मतलब एक नया कोच लाने के लिए इनफ टाइम भी है, एंड सीजन भी खत्म हुआ है. ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड फुटबॉल का सीजन भी खत्म हो रहा है, तो उस तरह से भी आप देखें तो कोच की अवेलेबिलिटी मिल सकती है आपको अगर आप मिड सीजन करते हो.
If the AFF tomorrow announces we want a new coach, you just publicize it, you'll get enough CVs coming in. The only question is, can you afford those coaches? You will get really high profile coaches applying for the India job, despite all the problems. There are others who might say, those who know Indian football and know the AFF, they will not apply. But there are enough big coaches around the world who will most probably say, this could be an interesting one. I want to try my hands at India. But they'll demand too much. The AFF will not be able to pay them. But otherwise, it could have been an interesting one.
Hiren, what's the feeling for tomorrow?
Feeling, I think मेरे मतलब excited हूँ मैं मैच के लिए, no doubt about that, and because of Sunil Chhetri's last match and World Cup qualifiers and everything. But अभी भी कॉन्फिडेंस वो नहीं आएगा अभी राहुल, क्योंकि आपने जिस तरह से टीम ने अफगानिस्तान एंड एशियन कप में परफॉर्मेंस दी है, उसके बाद अब जब तक ये लोग प्रूव नहीं करेंगे भाई अनदर गुड परफॉर्मेंस, तब तक आपका वो कॉन्फिडेंस आना मुश्किल है यहाँ पे ये. क्योंकि आई डोंट नो, आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ दी मे बी इगो स्टिमिच को भी पता नहीं है कि टीम इस दिन किस तरह से टर्न अप होगी. टू बी ऑनेस्ट, आई थिंक ये एक सबसे बड़ा एक आप बोल सकते हैं कि वो रहा है टॉपिक ऑफ डिस्कशन की कैसे टीम उतरेगी, क्योंकि प्लेयर मोर ऑफ सेम ही है. यहाँ पे आईएसएल में यही प्लेयर अच्छा कर रहे थे, जैसे नेशनल टीम अफगानिस्तान के सामने जैसे मैं बोल रहा था कि क्लूलेस दिखे. अगेन नाउ सेम सिनेरियो है, तो देखते हैं अब किस तरह से प्लेयर टर्न अप होते हैं, किस तरह से अप्रोच करते हैं गेम को। आई थिंक दैट विल बी आल्सो क्रूशियल, बिकॉज हमने देखा है कि इंडिया जनरली मोस्ट ऑफ द मैचेस में स्टार्टिंग के 15-20 मिनट अच्छा खेलती है, देन यहाँ पे हमारा फिर क्या बोलते हैं कि स्लोली स्लोली हम हमारी जो परफॉर्मेंस है वो ठीक होती जाती है। एंड सेकंड हाफ में तो आफ्टर 70 मिनट तो वी हैव टू बी रियली क्रूशियल। एक पॉइंट हमने डिस्कस नहीं किया, वो है सब्स्टिट्यूशन। आई थिंक इस मैच में सब्स्टिट्यूशन भी काफी क्रूशियल रोल प्ले करेंगे ड्यू टू दी हॉट ह्यूमिड वेदर। आई थिंक वो भी एक होगा। एंड अरुणा सर, आपको क्या लगता है कि हाउ डू यू सी बेंच स्ट्रेंथ?
See, you have players on the bench. Again, there's this whole thing about that certain players supposedly are injured, right? Um,
Okay, so in this 27 member also some of are injured.
supposedly, yeah.
Okay.
So to me, very, to me, that's a question. And we have players who have had injuries and come with injuries, right? Brandon was not fully fit. He sat out. Then we had the topic of Sahal came off an injury. Jackson came off an injury. So we've got multiple players, So therefore, so from that standpoint, I think it's very, very clear that we'll have to see, I think Mahesh also had picked up something. And again, we cannot forget that 15 players of the original squad were suddenly out, right? So that's something, and that's something that I feel that's going to be interesting to see, because again, we have options. But do we have the options of that killer punch who's going to score that goal? Let's say you bring in Liston Colasso, can Liston Colasso score a goal like he scored against Mumbai City in that ISL Shield final, right? And therefore, from that perspective, no, and that's my concern, right? I mean, that is my concern. And what are the alternatives? Can Rahim Ali score like he did for Chennai towards the end of the season? So we have players, but the question is, do we have the impact players to make a difference? And that is the point. That is, do we have the players who can make a positive, definitive difference in such a game? And I don't want to burn an Edmund Raldindika. I don't want to burn an Amar Ranawade in such a game, because if they come in, you're losing or something of that sort, and you start to have to save it, then the fans were now demanding for those players to say, oh, they're bad, they're rubbish, don't call them up again. That's the problem of fandom.
Yeah, I think you don't want to put any of those younger guys into the limelight, especially in a big game. Like, this would be really unfortunate for them. Exactly. I'm very fearful of even people saying, "Oh, you know what was Sunil Shetty's last game? They didn't care."
That is one. Or you say, "Listen, let David come in. David is Sunil's natural heir," and like David has not even played a second of ISL, right? And he was mostly benched even at Mohammedan Sporting, because they brought in foreign strikers to ensure that they got promoted to the ISL. This is what people need to. We have to wake up to reality. It makes no sense for us to dream, this player, that player, on that player, and say, oh, you know what? I've seen those video clips. Edmund looks really good. Bhai, those videos have been edited in a way that he looked good. Are you seeing the videos where he shoots the ball, I don't know, to the moon, and it doesn't even reach the moon and falls back onto Earth? No, you're not seeing that video.
नहीं, आई थिंक ये सर फैंस का जनरल टेंडेंसी होता है। कोई भी नया प्लेयर आता है तो दे ऑलवेज लाइक टू सी कि उनको यहाँ पे खिलाना चाहिए, बिकॉज वहाँ पे खेला है क्लब लेवल पे या फिर व्हाटएवर जहाँ पे जो भी लीग में खेल रहा है वो अच्छा करके आ रहा है। तो नेचुरली फैंस का रहता है। बट आफ्टर सम ऑफ द मैचेस वो पता चलता है कि भाई क्या है, बंदा कैपेबल है कि नहीं है। आई थिंक लेट्स सी, अगर वो इगो स्टमिस ने ट्रेनिंग सेशन में लगा है कि भाई जो मेरे एक्सपीरियंस प्लेयर है उससे भी बेटर ये है एडमंड लेरेंदिका और इम्पैक्ट डाल सकते हैं, देन ही विल डेफिनेटली गिव हिम सम मिनट्स एंड देखते हैं कि किस तरह से यहाँ पे वो इतने प्रेशर सिचुएशन में हैंडल करते हैं। आई थिंक दैट विल बी आल्सो लर्निंग कर्व फॉर हिम। एंड एक चीज जो आपने बोली वो आई थिंक कार्लोस गुजरात ने भी बोली है यहाँ पे, आज मैं इंटरव्यू उनका देख रहा था, उसने बोला कि आप चाहते हो कि यंगस्टर को डायरेक्टली उतना एक्सपोज मत कीजिए, क्योंकि अगर वो पहले ही एक आध दो मैच में अगर उनसे वो परफॉर्मेंस नहीं आई, फिर वो उसके माइंड में एक सेटबैक आ जाता है। यू नीड टू बी केयरफुल विथ हिम। सो ये उन्होंने भी बोला कि जब भी हमने यहाँ पे शयन को या फिर विष्णु को यहाँ पे मौका दिया है, बी वेरी केयरफुल। एंड आई थिंक वो उन्होंने किया भी है कि विष्णु को और शयन को, और ऐसा नहीं है कि उन्होंने लगातार अच्छा खेल रहा है फिर भी 90 मिनट खिलाया है। ये 15 मिनट 45 मिनट के बाद वो सब्स्टिट्यूशन कर देता था, बिकॉज ही नोस कि अगर कहीं पे वो ऐसी मिस्टेक उनसे हुई तो वो प्लेयर के, पर्टिकुलरली इंडियन प्लेयरों के साथ वो ज्यादा रहता है कि वो जल्दी से उसको भूल नहीं पाते हैं, वो उनका कंप्लीटली फिर फॉर्म डाउन हो जाता है। So
Yeah.
that I think
And
Edmund Laden
and
is
and and with hype players, I mean, at the moment, this
हाँ,
whole discussion around Rahul KP is a very good example.
example.
Rahul KP has been one of sort of the highest talented players that we've had, right? And again, he's been not performing for a while, but again, the hype has been still around him, and now suddenly the boy is facing the backlash, right? And again, you have interacted with the fans, and you're fine. Again, I said it. You take the fame, but you don't want to take the blame, and that's the problem, right? And I think it's very easy to make someone a star, and then tomorrow you make him a villain, right? And that's the from hero to zero, so to say, right? Which to some extent even has happened to Sunil quite a number of times over the last 12 months, and because and so that's what. And Ayush, good question. Jay Gupta is a very good example, right? I mean, he was overhyped. Jay Gupta is a player with potential, but is he ready for international football? He is now there because Akash Mishra is not there. Otherwise, I don't think he'll make the cut. Or a Roshan. Roshan is injured. So that is our thing. Our talent base is not that big that we can say, listen, we've got, if EBCD gets injured, we can bring some. I mean, we're forced to play Rahul Beke at the back of defense, right?
राहुल बेके एंड आपका सुभाषिस बोस एशियन कप में एक टाइम पे वो
Yeah.
दोनों सेंटर बैक खेल रहे थे.
Second
बट
half versus Syria.
एक चीज और है कि आपका जो सिस्टम है उसमें यहाँ पे फॉल्ट है, इसीलिए आपके जो यंगस्टर होते हैं उसको आप स्ट्रेट अवे यहाँ पे इस तरह के मैचेस में डालना नहीं चाहते, क्योंकि वो उन्होंने इनफ अंडर 17, अंडर 20 और अंडर 23 लेवल पे इस तरह के मैचेस भी नहीं खेले हैं. उन्होंने आप देखिए कि मिला जुला के कुछ ही मैचेस पर्टिकुलरली अंडर 20 एंड अंडर 23 के लिए खेले. अगर वहां पे उनको इनफ एक्सपोजर मिला होता तो फिर भी आप रिस्क ले सकते थे कि भाई नहीं चलो उन्होंने कुछ इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे यहाँ पे खेल रखा है, सो फिर आप मान सकते थे कि हाँ नहीं भाई ये बंदे में पोटेंशियल. ये तो आप सिर्फ आईएसएल के बेसिस पे ही जज कर रहे हो. हमने काफी मल्टीपल प्लेयर्स, आई वुड से 90% इंडियन प्लेयर्स ऐसे देखे कि जो आईएसएल में जबरदस्त करते हैं बट नेशनल टीम में आके उसी तरह का परफॉर्मेंस और रेप्लिकेट नहीं कर पाते बिकॉज ऑफ द यू कैन से की क्वालिटी डिफरेंस. सो वो एक डेफिनेटली फैक्टर है. एंड आई थिंक उसी हिसाब से एक मैच भी आई डोंट, मतलब मेरा तो पहले से ही मानना था कि आई डोंट थिंक सो कि दे विल गिव टू मेनी यंगस्टर चांस. मे बी एमए जय या फिर डेविड या फिर एडमंड. आई थिंक they will be maybe used as a substitution in last 10-15 minutes if यहाँ पे आपको लगे कि यहाँ पे यूटिलाइज हो सकता है, बट आई डोंट सी कि यहाँ पे स्ट्रेट अवे उनको स्टार्टिंग 11 में जगह मिल जाए.
I actually don't even think they'll be used as subs. I think he'll turn to the more experienced ones, even the relatively more experienced ones like Liston or Mahesh, even if he has to turn to.
He doesn't gamble, Rahul. He doesn't gamble. He is, and I think a lot of national team coaches look at that way. And again, it's something. The question is, if you are coaching a big nation, which has that talent base, you can change things. Let's say France could send 3 teams to the Euros, and France C would be most probably good enough to get out of their group, right? But in an Indian context, again, even if we talk about those 40, 45 players, they've got a few who stand out, but the most of them are of a similar level, or even there are quite a few players who I would say are not international level, and that is something which is a problem that we have, and again the things around the national team are not good, and that is something which we need to also accept. And for I'm saying we don't have right environment for players to perform, as we lack proper age group setup. We have that at the moment for them, that is true, but we had some sort of setup before that which was actually quite good with the whole AFF Elite Academy under 17 team around the World Cup. We have had the Arrows programs. So there were things to allow a player from 16 who was international level for India to progress into an ISL player, which is, if you take, but some of them, again, Apuya is one, Suresh, Anwar, these guys have been all part of that World Cup squad. Or, if you talk of Dheeraj, Prabsuk and Gill, all these guys. So therefore, but the question is, and that's the case around the world. If you look at the England under 17 World Cup team which won it in India, you've got 2 guys who are really at the top. That's Jadon Sancho and Phil Foden. Yeah, a lot of them play Premier League or play lower leagues, but where is a Brewster, for example, top scorer of the tournament?
Yeah,
Liverpool player, right? Under Klopp,
former
debut and all
Liverpool,
that
former
kind of
chef.
stuff.
Didn't
So,
even make it at Sheffield.
yeah. So these are realities that a lot of player. Amar Ranawade looks to be a late bloomer, right? He's been at Mumbai City, but he was in. Of course, he broke his leg and all that stuff, and then he had a standout season of the Risha. Jay Gupta or Ishan Pandita play lower level football in Spain. Of course, are exposed to a better level of training and regime and all that stuff, and come back and suddenly play in India. But are they then ready? That's the thing, right? So and for me is I was saying that Stimach mentioned that he'll go with experience in goalkeeping position. I think that most coaches will go with experience around the world, and international experience is something which you can't buy, or you naturally have. Either you are such an exceptional talent that you're going to get into a team, or you will have to settle down and take your time, and
particularly in
this
this
is
kind of matches, it's not a match for experiment. अगर उनको यहाँ पे यंगस्टर को मौका देना था तो आपके हीरो ट्राई नेशन, इंटरकॉन्टिनेंटल, साफ के जो ग्रुप स्टेजेस के कुछ हल्के मैचेस आपको लगते थे, उसमें आपको इस प्लेयर को, एंड उसमें भी आप ये तो मैं बिल्कुल नहीं देख रहा हूँ कि आप सारे प्लेयर को एक साथ दे दो, एक एक दो प्लेयर को आप ट्राई आउट कर सकते हो कि आप जहाँ पे बैकअप रेडी करना चाहते हो कि यहाँ पे दिस गेट बी बैकअप प्लेयर. सो वो सारी चीजें आपको वहां पे ट्राई आउट करनी थी. इस मैच में तो यू नीड टू गो विद द, यू कैन से योर बेस्ट 11, जो यहाँ पे जिनके पास एक्सपीरियंस भी है, जिनके पास इस तरह के मैचेस को हैंडल करने का वो भी है, सारी चीजें है. तो ऐसे प्लेयर यहाँ पे आई थिंक जैसे सर ने बोला कि मोस्ट ऑफ द कोचेस अराउंड द वर्ल्ड एट द इंटरनेशनल लेवल उसी तरह से जाते हैं.
But the main question is, can India get the job done? Adama, you think they can get it done tomorrow?
I honestly wish yes, but I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't have a good feeling about tomorrow.
Fair enough. Hiren, I know you said you're low on confidence with this game, but is there the optimist in you saying that it can happen?
Hey, my feeling is, to be honest, 50-50. I'm seeing at max draw. I'm not seeing India at the moment winning it. If they do, I think there's a fan definitely चाहेंगे, एंड सुनील छेत्री सर का लास्ट मैच है, डेफिनेटली चाहते हैं कि एक विन के साथ ही यहाँ पे एंड अप होना चाहिए. बट सीइंग ऑल दिस सीन विद द टीम, आई थिंक उससे मेरे को कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं आ रहा है. ऊपर से जो जैसे मैंने बोला कि अफगानिस्तान और एशियन कप में इन लोगों ने जैसे खेला, उससे तो बिल्कुल मतलब कॉन्फिडेंस डाउन हो गया है. सो जब तक वो प्रूव नहीं करेंगे तब तक आई डोंट थिंक सो कि हम इतना ओपनली कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ बोल सकते कि नहीं भाई हम हरा ही देंगे कुवैत को. आई थिंक लिटिल बिट देयर इज अ कंजर्वेशन इन रिगार्डिंग दैट थॉट. So I'm expecting maximum at the moment to be, because सुनील छेत्री का लास्ट मैच इसलिए मैं ड्रॉ तक आया. अदरवाइज तो मैं पहले तो मैंने काफी बार बोल भी चुका हूँ कि वी आर गोना लूज दिस मैच. बट आई थिंक अब मेरे को लगता है कि थोड़ा सा प्लेयर भी एफर्ट डालेंगे ज्यादा, मेरे को लगता है. तो उस सेंस में मैं एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा हूँ कि मे बी ड्रॉ इज मैक्सिमम. वो भी 1-1 ही. आई डोंट थिंक सो कि इट विल बी अ 2-2 काइंड ऑफ मैच. इट विल बी अ 1-1.
1-1 for Hiren. And now you said
और यहाँ पे 0-0 भी हो सकता है.
Not a good feeling. Any score lines that you want to throw in?
Again, I want us to win, but I fear we're going to lose most probably 1-0 or 2-0.
Okay, fair enough. Again, it's just our honest opinion, guys. So, yeah, hopefully it doesn't.
What are you feeling, Rahul?
I mean, again, I like Hiren mentioned and you said, I think I'm not very confident about the game itself. But just because it's Sunil Shetty's last game, I think there's one special moment left in him. And if it just comes now, it will be so sweet. I think a 1-0 to India, I'm just hoping. This is just the optimist in me speaking. Realistically, I don't see it happening. But yeah, it's just the optimist in me. Let's go in with that feeling, I guess. Guys. Tomorrow is Sunil Shetty's last game. India, very important game for the country as well as far as the World Cup qualifiers are concerned. Do tune in, watch the game, enjoy Sunil Shetty's last dance, as everybody's calling it now. So like and share the video, subscribe to all the channels, Curious Harry, SportsKhabri, and arunfoot. We'll be back, guys. See you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.